Hello and welcome to the Conversational Hypnosis Academy. My name is Jansen and I want to formally welcome you on board to our brand new online hypnotherapy training program. I'm very excited to have you on board. This has been a long time in the making and we're very excited that we've been able to sit down and put this program together for you, whether you're new to hypnotherapy or you're an advanced student, whatever the case may be. This program will show you how to enhance the way you do hypnotherapy, your basic and advanced understanding of what hypnosis is all about, and how you can take a skill into a real world need. Like I said, this program has been developed with you in mind. We've taken the time to go back to basics, but also introduce you to some advanced methods inside this training program so you get the best of both worlds. So before we actually get started into the essential information and show you what it takes to actually hypnotize people or work with clients or become a full-time hypnotherapist, I feel it's especially important that we lay out the foundation of this course so you know what to expect, but also how you can get the most from the new information and absorb it so you can actually use this skill automatically. The layout of the course is going to be as follows. We're going to spend a lot of time going back to basics and also introducing you to each individual step so you get the most from them to make it as clear and lucid as we possibly can. With this, we're also going to be repeating a lot of information throughout this training program to show you how you can mold it all together to become what we call a conversational hypnotist. This program has been based around conversational hypnosis as its medium, but has hypnotherapy as its backbone for its success. With this as well, we're also going to be introducing you to demonstrations where I myself are going to be taking through current students through demonstrations to show you the steps, to show you from basically the A to Z of how you can treat clients using specific techniques, specific inductions, and specific hypnotherapy setup rules that we're going to put into place and introduce you to, of course, so you can hear how it's supposed to sound, but also almost visualize what it would be like to use this with real people in the real world. So if this is your first time taking any training program, what I do advise you to do is grab yourself a pen and paper and take the time with this program. This training is not meant to be concluded in the first day. It's to do little bits and pieces each day, study them intently, use them in the real world, practice these things out loud, maybe getting a training partner or a hypnosis buddy to do this with, so you can absorb these skills so they become natural. This is, however, conversational hypnosis as its vehicle for hypnotherapy, so it will take some time to understand and learn the new skills, and this is how the program has been designed. If, however, you've done several programs before or done something similar to this, all I do advise you is just to put those ideas to the side. Put all that training out of your mind for now, because you can always introduce them at the end with your new skills that I'm going to be introducing you to, and this will enhance the way you do hypnosis, enhance the way you actually treat clients if you are formally treating clients, or to gain a better understanding and a more concise understanding of what can be done with conversational hypnosis. So with that out of the way, let's jump straight into the information. I have the idea that the best way to do this is to not spend hours and hours and hours lecturing on things that really don't need to be put into place as a hypnotherapist. I want to show you what works. I want to discuss each topic with the basics in mind, but also show those advanced steps along the way so they can be included in how you do hypnosis. So when you're ready, if you've got your pen and paper ready to go, you're all settled in, let's jump straight into session 1, where I want to introduce you to the conscious and the unconscious mind faculties. And this is basically for the beginners. But for those who have done several trainings before, you might find a new understanding for each part of the mind, because it's going to be essential so I can discuss the different inductions and the specific techniques that are coming up. So when you're ready, let's jump straight over to session 1. All right, so welcome back to session 1. So let's jump straight into it. So to understand where this program is going to go, we do need a clear understanding of what the conscious and the unconscious mind are going to be doing for us as a hypnotherapist, but also for our clients as well. Now, when I say unconscious, I also mean subconscious. You could say you're superconscious. You could say it's the angels that you talk to, or if you meditate, it's your higher self. Regardless of what it is, I will use the terms conscious and unconscious, but whatever the way you look at it, whatever label you put on it is just fine. I just want to split both parts of the minds to give you a metaphor for both so you get a working understanding of how it's all going to come together. So let's look at the conscious mind. What are the faculties of the conscious mind? Essentially, as a hypnotist, it's the conscious mind that our client's going to come into our office with, that it's going to have all the issues, whether it's stop smoking, it's weight loss, it's overcoming anxiety. It could even be a serious addiction or a phobia. It's the conscious mind that gets put into place when a client needs steps to get over something. The conscious mind is great at putting steps into place. It's also great at being rational, but it really doesn't like to work outside the box. It's very narrowed in its approach, and it likes to do things its own way. And it's this conscious mind, not just for me, it's for people listening at home as well, but also your clients, that causes us a lot of grief when we're trying to overcome things. Think about it for yourself. If you've ever wanted to go to the gym and you've had maybe some serious weight issues in the past, and this is your first time entering in the world of fitness, what's the normal things we would do? Well, we'd probably try and find a training program that best suits us. We would try to find a diet or a training partner that would help us along our journey. And these are all conscious steps put into place. So let's say we decide it's Sunday evening, we're getting excited about going to the gym the next morning, but we know we need to go to the gym at 5 a.m. in the morning because our work time doesn't allow us to do anything outside of that. So what do? We set the alarm for 5 o'clock, knowing with all the intention, with all the excitement we put into place on that Sunday evening, we've got our brand new shoes, we've got our protein powder, we've got our fitness regime, we've got our friend that's going to meet us at the gym. We go to sleep excited, knowing at 5 a.m. that alarm's going to go off, and we're going to go to the gym and start getting fit and living a more successful life. So 5 o'clock comes around the next morning. What's the first thing we normally do? If you're like me, you probably hit the snooze button because you find it's cold in the morning, your bed's comfortable, you really don't want to get up and start sweating. But the Sunday evening before, you were excited. You basically said to yourself that nothing's going to stop you from doing this. So what's occurring here? This is the conscious mind in action. To overcome our steps, to overcome the goals we want, putting conscious steps into place can be the first part. We need to understand basically how to get to the gym. We need to understand how this is all going to come together for us. We need to put these steps into place so we have something tangible to follow. However, the unconscious mind is that part of you that has other ideas. The unconscious mind is essentially great for thinking outside the box. It's very spontaneous. It likes to mull things over. It likes to find the right answers for the right thing, and it's very creative. So our conscious mind is straight down the line. Our unconscious mind prefers to go around the roundabout, so to speak. So with these two parts in mind, these are essentially the key ornaments for hypnotherapy. And we look at the next part, which is going to be our 4-step formula for all hypnosis. You'll see how the conscious mind comes into place and also how the unconscious mind comes into place as well. To give you the basics of the 101, our client will come into our office with their problem and with their issue. They'll tell us about how the problem revolves around their life, what it does for them, how it affects them, what it's like, when it started, all these types of things. And this is the conscious mind in action. However, to resolve any issue, whether big, small, or medium, any addiction, any anxieties, any phobias, we need to find the root into the unconscious mind. It's the unconscious mind that has the problem. It's the stem, it's the root cause of that problem. But it's the conscious mind that puts things into place and keeps us trapped in a box so that it can only do it one way. Like we said, the unconscious mind is very creative. So all in all, 101 of hypnosis is we must get into the unconscious mind in order to help our clients change and overcome the problems. Now that's just a brief example of what I'm talking about between the conscious and the unconscious. By the end of this program, you're going to hear and visually see, we're using your imagination, what it will be like to use these techniques with your clients. You'll hear the conscious and the unconscious mind in action. And I'm going to refer back to this 4-step formula that we're about to hit into next, over and over again, so you can see both minds in actions. We always need to remember that all of us, regardless of who we are, all have a conscious mind and we all have an unconscious or a subconscious mind. We need to work with both minds, and this is where hypnotherapy excels. There's no other medium on earth that can really rectify and also change the unconscious mind in the way we need it to, so our clients can overcome their issues and live the life that they desire. So with that out of the mind and with that out of place, let's jump straight into your first formal lesson, which is the hypnotherapy 4-step formula, if you will. This 4-step formula governs any type of hypnosis. This could be conversational hypnosis. This could be clinical hypnotherapy. This could be informal or formal hypnotherapy. This could be covert hypnosis. This could be an Ericksonian type hypnosis. This could be any hypnosis that you've heard of. To hypnotize a client, to change them at an unconscious or a subconscious level, and to have them leave out of your office or an informal party, to leave out of that having changed their life, hypnosis must conform to these 4 steps. So if you're very keen and very excited to get out and hypnotize someone, and it does work with the induction that you use, and we'll discuss that later, these 4 steps will have had to be adhered to in order for that client to quote unquote become hypnotized. So let's look at it. The 4 steps I want to look at, and this is the backbone for this training. This is not just the backbone for hypnotherapy in general. This takes place and sits in the background of this entire program. The 4 steps are the ABSU formula. All hypnosis must conform to this. I want you to remember that acronym, the ABSU formula. So let's look at the first step, the A. The A is going to stand for attention. The B, which is the second part, is the bypass of the conscious mind. This is where our hypnotherapy techniques come into place. So that's bypass the conscious mind. This is where our techniques come into place. And these are your inductions and whatnot. And this is what the base of the program will be about. The S is to stimulate the unconscious mind to produce what are called unconscious moments. Now, we'll get into a lot of detail about what these unconscious moments are, but this is essentially where your therapy is. If bypass the conscious mind, which is your techniques, which is the second step, the third step will be your therapy, which is to stimulate the unconscious mind, is to get out that creativity of the unconscious or the subconscious mind to find new ways for this person to be outside of their addiction or their phobia or whatnot. The U, which is the 4th step, is to utilize all the unconscious moments. So by stimulating the unconscious mind, it will produce a phenomena called unconscious moments. The 4th step is we must utilize, we must grasp, we must use all those moments that the unconscious mind gives us. So there are 4 steps. The A, which is attention, the B, which is to bypass the conscious mind, the S, which is to stimulate the unconscious mind, and the U is to utilize all the unconscious moments. So let's look into this in a little bit more detail to give you more an advanced theory around this. So attention, what do we mean by attention? Now, we have 2 types of attention that we will deal with as a hypnotherapist. From this point onwards, I want you to put yourself in place as a hypnotherapist, as a qualified and successful and mediated hypnotherapist. So you can put yourself in that position, because this is what I'm going to refer to over and over again. This is a hypnotherapy training program. I want to put you in place as a hypnotherapist, then give you the skills to be a qualified and successful hypnotherapist. So let's look at attention. There are 2 types of attentions we will deal with as a hypnotherapist. The first is conscious attention. The second is unconscious attention. When it comes to attention, attention is very formal and it's very important. I want you to view attention, like the attention you're giving me now by listening to this program, as the fuel for hypnosis. If you imagine the hypnosis is a car, it's the fuel that's going to make that car run and run for a certain amount of kilometers before it runs out. This is conscious attention. Have you ever been put in a situation where you've been talking to a friend or a colleague and you've had something really important to tell them? Maybe something they needed to hear, or you wanted to digress to a secret that you've been holding back and you really wanted this person to know. And you open your heart up to this person, you say something very, very important. And then all of a sudden you look around, you notice that your friend's not paying attention to. They're looking around the room or they're doing something else and they haven't heard a word that you've said. What tends to happen? We get frustrated. This is the same thing with your client. Your client's attention is super important. Your client's attention to listen to what you have to say, being that we're conversational hypnotists, in order for hypnosis to occur. If we looked at your induction, which is the way we take a client from the conscious mind to the unconscious mind, we quote unquote put them into a hypnotic trance. We need as much conscious attention from your client as possible in order for them to let go of conscious thinking, in order to enter this realm we call hypnosis or a hypnotic trance. All hypnotic trance exist in the unconscious mind. All change and health exists in the unconscious mind. It's the conscious mind that stops us as human beings from getting our goals, from overcoming our issues, to destroying our problems. All of those exist in the unconscious mind as far as everything we need, all the resources, all the new thinking, all the happy places we need to go are unconscious. So we need to first formally get a client's conscious attention. And we're going to look at through this training program how we do this. By getting conscious attention, then we're going to use our hypnotherapy techniques in order to bypass the conscious mind, or get around the conscious mind, or as popular society would call it, or the hypnotherapy industry would call it, we're going to put the conscious mind to sleep per se. We're going to get it offline so it's less active, and we can get into the unconscious mind. This is where hypnosis excels. This is what our technique's going to do for us. Once we've bypassed the conscious mind, we need to keep, and that's the key here, we need to keep the unconscious attention. So let me just recap over that. We need to get the conscious mind's attention in order for it to listen to what we have to say, to use our inductions, to use our stories, to use whatever we have as far as techniques in the hypnosis, in order to get a hold of the unconscious mind and keep the unconscious attention on us as the hypnotist. And this is where a lot of hypnotists run foul. They tend to get the hypnosis working really well, the induction works really well, and then they find that their client will only go into trance for a couple of seconds and then come back out. This is because when they're not paying attention to, once you get the unconscious mind attention, you need to keep the attention, and you need to find out a lot of different ways in far of creativity to keep that unconscious mind listening to you. Now that's a lot to take in for the first step. How we do this with the conscious attention, we will look at formally, but the unconscious attention will be something that is the background of this training program as well, and will all come together for us. So that's attention. The bypass the conscious mind. Like I said, this is where your techniques come into it. And we will have several techniques to go through to give you so many different ways of how to do this to put someone into trance. But to keep it really simple, to bypass the conscious mind, you need your hypnotic inductions. We'll have plenty of those to play with. That's it. Once the bypass of the conscious mind, or we've lulled the conscious mind to sleep, so to speak, we have clear access to the unconscious mind. But like I said, it doesn't stop there. Once we get involved with the unconscious mind, we need to keep the unconscious mind's attention on us without letting it slip. Once we've bypassed the conscious mind with our techniques, we are then essentially stimulating the unconscious mind to produce unconscious moments. Now, to stimulate the unconscious mind, this is where your therapy comes into it. And again, we're going to have several therapy techniques for you to play with, because this is a hypnotherapy training program. Once you put our client into trance, you're going to stimulate, or you're going to involve yourself with the unconscious mind. Think of the unconscious mind like a brand new puppy. The unconscious mind is that puppy you maybe just bought and you brought it back to home. The puppy likes to play. It likes to be rewarded. It loves your attention. It likes to play with its brand new toys. It likes to feel the love that you have for this puppy. This is the unconscious mind. If, however, you ignore the puppy, what tends to happen? The puppy goes and does its own thing and will probably get itself into trouble by chewing things it's not supposed to. Now look at the unconscious mind. It loves to be talked to, so to speak. It loves to be stimulated. It loves for you to involve yourself with it, and this is where your therapy techniques come into it. So once you've bypassed the conscious mind with your technique, you need to find many ways to keep stimulating the unconscious mind so it doesn't get bored of you. Now, how you know you're doing a good job by stimulating the unconscious mind, it will produce phenomena called unconscious moments, and these are essential unconscious cues. But I won't get too far into that now. That'll be later on for us, because it is a big part and a big chunk of this program, and I do want to take my time to discuss that with you. Once we've stimulated the unconscious mind a lot through our therapy techniques, and the therapy is where we make our stripe, so to speak, as a hypnotist. This is what our clients come to see us for. Our clients don't come to see us to be hypnotized. They come into us because they've got a problem they want to overcome, and this is where our therapy procedure comes into it. As we're stimulating the unconscious mind, or we've done our induction, we've bypassed the conscious mind, we're going to see these, what are called unconscious moments or hypnotic cues. These are going to be visual or auditory representations that our client is in trance. And like I said, we'll look at that more formally a little bit later. Once we're seeing those unconscious moments, we need to utilize or use all the unconscious moments this client is going to be giving us visually, and this will be through visual stimuli or also auditorily. We're going to use those to navigate ourselves through the entire process with them, or the entire session with them, to give them the results that they desire. So that's a big chunk already. We have the ABSU formula. So let me recap. The ABSU formula is what all hypnosis must conform to. Look at this as the hypnotic equation. We have the attention. We need to have conscious and unconscious attention at all times. We need to bypass the conscious mind. This is what our techniques do. They bypass the conscious mind. We then have to stimulate the unconscious mind to produce unconscious moments. This lets us know that our client is in trance and we have the attention of the unconscious mind. This is a great way to know if you have the attention of the unconscious mind, because it will release this stimuli, it will release these unconscious moments, and will let you know that you're on the right track. Once we're seeing the unconscious moments, this is essentially the unconscious mind playing with us, we need to play back with it and use what it gives us. Whether it's through speech, it's more hypnotic phenomena, which we'll look at formally later. Whatever the case may be, we need to use those as our gateway into hypnotic or unconscious change or therapeutic change. So that's the first part. That's session 1 completed. ABSU formula, 4 steps. What I suggest you do, if this is a new formula for you, is to look back over this and re-listen to this, write your notes if you need to look at the 4 steps, because it's these 4 steps, once you gain and grasp a complete understanding of this, the rest of the program becomes easy. But what I'll do to make your life a little bit easier is, as we go through each induction, each technique, each system, whatever the case may be, I will continually reintroduce the ABSU formula, and I'll say, here's where the A exists, here's where the B exists, this is the S, and this is the U in action. When it comes to listening to the demonstrations, you'll hear these things in action. I'm actually going to be treating and formally working with students with real issues. These won't be role plays. These will be actual demonstrations that you'll get to hear of me taking students through an actual hypnotherapy process or a hypnotherapy interaction or intervention, so they can actually overcome what they have. And then we'll take some time to break it all down to show you where the ABSU formula exists. Keep things simple when you're looking at this. Don't sit there and think, well, this is the technique I would use now. This is how I put this together, because we're not there yet. Remember, if you've done something similar to this before, you've been on a formal training program before, whether it was with us or another training company, put those ideas aside to be reintroduced to these new ideas, because these first 4 steps are critical to your success as a conversational hypnotist. So that's session 1 completed. On session 2, we're going to start to look at the formal and basic structure of a hypnotherapy process or a hypnotherapy intervention. So for first timers listening to this, you'll basically hear the steps of how it all comes together from the A to Z, basically, of how hypnosis is conformed, how a working therapist may work with a client, and then we can start to get into your techniques. We can start to get into the processes that you'll use in order to hypnotize maybe someone for the first time, or to reintroduce someone to a new style of hypnosis altogether. So when you're ready, jump over to session 2 so we can formally get started into the hypnotherapy session from start to finish in the classical version. See you on step 2.